That's interesting. And would you say like, did you always have a creative kind of mind, or were you always more like science based? Uh,
Honestly, pretty split of both. Like I was always into science and math and analytical, but I always had a creative side too that I just like, whether it was playing music or well, maybe mainly music before film. Like there was just always like this need to like I got such pleasure from like being bad at something not working, and then at the end you have a product and you're like, oh, it's not terrible. It was very enjoyable, and to me, film is the exact same way where you're like, it doesn't always work out, it isn't always great, but occasionally you get a spot or a short film or something, a music video, and you watch it from start to finish, and you're like, I cannot for the life of me believe that we made this. Like, this is insane. Like, and if someone's like, could you do it again? You're like, honestly, I don't know if I can. I think the stars just aligned on this one.
100%. I think we're coming up on time. We don't want to keep you too much longer. But I was interested. I saw that you shot at the YouTube studios. Is that right?
Maybe a few years ago. I think that was a
Yeah.
music video.
Yeah. What was that like?
It was cool. I mean,
Yeah.
like it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was only in one studio there. It was fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's actually not as big of a studio you think. I didn't see anybody famous or anybody,
Yeah.
but
No.
no, it was cool. Basically, the
maybe you were
directors.
maybe you were the famous person.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. I always get very weirded out when I'm on film sets and like someone's looking at me and they're like, I follow you on Instagram. I'm like, okay. Uh,
What do you want me to do with that information?
you should really follow that up with another sentence afterwards.
I follow you
um,
on Instagram.
yeah, and then just silence. And
Okay.
I'm like, all right, everybody into the vehicle.
Yeah.
um, but no, it was cool. Not as big as you'd probably think. It's a smaller office building in Toronto, but the director had set that up for a music video because I think the artist had 100,000 subscribers or whatever it was, so they were allowed to use the space for free. So
Oh,
welcome to music
interesting.
videos, garnish whatever you can for free. And then so they had some like lights and stuff. So it was cool to walk into something because that was definitely early on in my days where studio stuff would have scared me more. Like I was so used to showing up to a live location, augmenting what is there. When you're on studio, it's like you can do whatever you want, but also you can do whatever you want. So if it doesn't look good, then you failed. Whereas if you're on location and it starts raining, you're like, what are we gonna do, guys? Like it started raining on us. Like there's no fail safe in studio stuff, I guess. So once again, pros and cons. I think you need all different type of jobs to mold you into the person you are. And I love on location. I love studio, and I wouldn't want to trade one for the other.
Have you shot on the LED walls?
I haven't shot on the only thing I've done is like pack shots against like an 80-inch else like LED TV. So I've
Okay.
done digital background stuff, but I've never done it to the extent of like the full like Mandalorian wall or like the one they haven't I haven't done like one of those. I will say I can tell. Like they as soon as someone says it was shot on a DigiWall, I'm like, yeah, it looks like that to me. Like it's good. It's a great alternative for some jobs. But I saw one where like a guy was walking in a forest and I was like, why don't you just go to a forest and film this? Like it would have looked better. But then I saw other ones where it's like a soccer stadium
Hmm.
and they comped in like millions of fans. And I'm like, I get that one because logistically, that one's a nightmare to recreate practically. But there are other
Yeah.
ones that are like, practically, this one didn't seem that bad to do.
I find like it's funny you say that you could tell because I do find sometimes you can tell. What do
Yeah.
you think what do you think about it makes like is that difference between real life
Well,
and
I don't know. It's the same thing as green screen. Like
yeah.
it might be tech savviness and just like sometimes you just look at an image and if outside the window it's this perfect sunset over a city, you're like, well, I
Sure.
I mean
Okay.
I mean maybe, but also I don't think Walmart would risk that. So I'm gonna guess that that was a green screen. And it might just be like on Instagram. I know it's a digiwall because like I see it passed around so much. So that's sinking into my subconscious. I don't know. It's the same thing when you see like sometimes you see car shots and out the window, you can just tell
Yeah.
when it's like, oh, they're practically on a trailer and they're pulling a car, and when it's like it's a screen just looping left to right or whooshing stuff, and you're like, I mean, it doesn't detract from the story. It's a style. It's all like if you're willing to watch something animated, then I'm fine with the digiwall. But like if someone's like, well, no, the digiwall is as good as real life, I would be like, well, they're two different things. That's like saying a synthesizer is as good as an acoustic guitar. You'd be like, what do you mean? They're just two different things. They're two different instruments, two different results, like both great, both bad. I don't know. They're just different, but no one is going to overtake the other. They're just different genres at this point.
Yeah,
Totally.
well, that's an interesting point. I mean, we've heard from people in Toronto that they feel like for at least the commercial world, where like I mean, there typically is a lot more constraints, whether it's budget wise, whether it's time wise, that the popularity of something like the Digiwall will grow over the next few years.
It definitely will grow. But like you got to ask yourself, like you need a 3D artist to design something. You need like it still is not at a budget point where it's like if you're doing sub $100,000 projects, I would not say the Digiwall is in. It's never been brought up in conversation for any of my like. It's like so it's still very cost prohibitive. Where that is in 5 years, technology truncates us all the time. So in 5 years, I might be eating my words, and you guys can both be like, "Hey, Nick, it took over."
Well, we have proof.
So-
Video proof.
You'll
right
be
now.
on you'll be on your sixth Digiwall shoot in a row, and you'll be like, "Son of a bitch, man."
Maybe, but then
Maybe.
vice versa. How many times has the industry told us that this is the future? And like, can you not remember when the first Avatar movie came out? And they're like, don't, no one's ever gonna watch a movie in 2D anymore. This is 3D or nothing. And then you're like, and now I'm like, name another 3D movie, and they're like, Avatar 2, and you're like, exactly.